Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Green. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by my friend, Sean Malone, the co-founder and CSO of FlowChat. Sean, thank you so much for joining us.
Yo, Seth, I'm so excited to be here, man. You've done some amazing things. It's really cool to follow your movement and the tribe that you've been building and just awesome things you're doing. So really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So let's go back in time a little bit. Before we tell everybody what FlowChat is, how did FlowChat get started?
Yeah, very simply, I'm a sales guy. I came out of college and there was only one thing on my mind. I wanted to make a boatload of cash. And so I went to the only person that I knew that had made quite a bit of money was my dad. And I said, Dad, how do I make a boatload of cash? And he said to me, well, you have 3 choices. I was like, what are these choices? He's like, you can be a CEO. And at the time I was like, I don't even know what those letters mean. So that's not me. And he's like, okay, are you an entertainer? And I said, no, not an entertainer. And I can't dance or sing or anything like that. He's like, okay, you better learn sales. And so that was like my hard knock life of let's go learn some sales stuff. And I took a sales job and I sucked. For the first 8 weeks of my sales career, actually the first 6 weeks of my sales career, I took 2,400 cold calls where you just pick up and dial. No. Like, and I just sucked. And how many appointments do you think I set out of 2,400 tries, Seth?
I'll say I'm going back to my days of making 300 cold calls a day, but that was 20 years ago before the do not call list. So I'll say 50, 100.
I made 0, dude. I was, damn. Yeah, like really bad. Right. And so I was about to give up and my dad said, don't quit, go to the library, read a book. And of course that took me into the library and I started reading like Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling stuff. And I was like, oh, there's a formula. I was pretty good at formulas in school. Like maybe I can apply this. And so I went back the following week and I took one of these formulas and I get to the place in my next call where I was like to set the appointment. And I was about to deliver this line I learned out of the book. And of course I froze, hair stands on my neck, sweat beads come down. I messed up the line. And the guy was like, no, Sean, I know what you're trying to do. Come on over. And that was the moment, the catalyst of, oh my God, like this rush of emotion after like he said yes is like, I need to like chase that feeling. And so that led me through the rest of my career. And I made the decision to just go deep into communication through the vocation of sales and the lost art of prospecting. And so fast forward, I started getting good at setting appointments. I started getting good. And I sucked at sales at that time. So like I could set the appointment, but I couldn't close. That's when I went and I dissected like 40 different selling systems. And I distilled them all down to like, every one of them had these 5-6 steps. Let's just try to put those steps into my process. And then I started closing deals. And then I got pretty good at it. And then I ended up buying an electronics company. I made a lot of commission selling commodities at the time. So I bought an electronics manufacturing company in Vegas. That was a brick and mortar. We built circuit boards for government and for like companies like Lockheed Martin and TRW Lucas and Raytheon and Boeing and those guys. And I built that company up with that little skill set of here's how you set appointments, here's how you sell, built that up to about 8.5 million a year in sales. And then it got sold from underneath me and I went down into a dark spiral at the time. And I met my wife. Luckily, she kind of pulled me out of that. And then we went into, you got to go sell something. So I took a job selling roofing material. And I took my systems and I broke a few records in the first couple of years there. And I realized I'm not a roofer, not my people, no offense, but it's just, everyone's got people. And so that stage, we're like, well, we should try the online thing. This was about 7 years ago. And I said, well, I know sales and I saw an ad, I saw a paid ad online. It was a little guy walking along the beach. He's like, I made all this money online. I was like, that's my guy, right? So I went and I bought this system, upsold to $10,000+. I was like, that kind of hurt, but again, it's marketing. I don't know it. I know sales. If this thing can bring me eyeballs, I can convert. And then so that started happening. And that was really where that was a MLM based product. It was a water system out of Japan. And we ended up breaking all their records in the first 13 months and hitting the top ranks. And then what happened was, because we got a little bit of fame online, this is what Chris had kind of come into the scene, my business partner. We were like, yo, everybody was following us around and say, your software sucks. We're like, we didn't build it. And they said, we don't care, fix it. So we ended up building our first software company to help the 9-to-5er come from the offline space into the online space to learn cold ads or paid traffic to cold ads, paid ads to cold traffic. Thank you. I said it right. And then we had like done for you funnels and copy, and we had a sales team that I had built. And so that whole system cranked, and then I burned out because I was doing like 22 hours a day. And at that stage of my life, this is the kind of long story, but I was like, oh my God. And Russell Brunson, my coach, and Alex Sharfin were like, yo, you should sell your company. So we ended up selling the first software company, and then we're like, what do we do next? And that's when Alex said to us, what are you good at? And we said, hey, we're good at sales. All these online entrepreneurs suck at sales. You'd help them. So then that's when we started our high ticket agency of how to hire, onboard, and train sales teams. And it worked really well for the first several clients that we had. Then what happened is they said, hey, Sean, like, thank you for building a sales team. Now I don't have to sell, because that's what I didn't want to do. Now I can't sleep at night because I don't know how to predictably fill their calendar. And we said, oh, we have a system for that. And that was the birth of our high ticket mastermind, of teaching somebody to put the system in and then sell after. And that led to, we needed another software, which led us into FlowChat. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I appreciate the land speed record of that story. I am sure the longer version should be in a book somewhere if it isn't already.
Yes.
So let's talk about then what FlowChat is and what FlowChat does. Full disclosure, everybody watching or listening, I am a client of FlowChat, so I am biased.
Yes. Yeah. So FlowChat is a relationship building machine, right? Everybody always talks about, how do we build I want to build relationship. I want to get to know people before I can buy, like the long game, right? And so, but it can be done at again, land speed records. It's a software that's designed, it runs on 9 different social platforms, and it focuses on starting conversations at scale and managing those conversations all the way to the result that you're trying to do. Example, say you're an agency and you're trying to book calls. Maybe you're trying to grow a Facebook group as an example. Well, you can use the system, basically use the import feature that we have, and we can collect thousands of the right targets in an instant. And then we set up a messaging sequence that we want to deploy to those people, and we just send messages. We connect with them, we build like and trust and know, and then eventually we get them into our group, and then we continue the relationship. And it's led to some pretty remarkably amazing things, like meeting you as an example, is one of the things. You came through the process and you're using the process now. And we didn't want to build it originally. We wanted to buy it, but we went and bought like 15 different softwares, and none of them did what we wanted. So we ended up building it.
That makes total sense. So you barely scratched the surface as to what FlowChat does. Yeah. Can you walk us through an example of because you oversimplified it and you did a super short version. Please dive in and give a longer example of, here's a campaign, here's what it did, here's how it did it, and here's kind of the results it had.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I'll use, so we have hundreds of success stories, but I'll just share a personal one with us. When we first started with FlowChat, here's what we did. We wanted to prove to everybody that would work. And so the campaign, the idea was, starting with no group, no list, no anything. We wanted to build up a Facebook group and then sell into that Facebook group into a $6,000 product. It was $5,800. And so we started at zero, and all we did was Chris and I dedicated about 4 hours of our day with the software. And we had like our first message to get conversations started, and then managing it through the software. And as soon as we started doing that, we just said, okay, we're going to start on Facebook only. We chose one platform. We chose one direction. What we were trying to do was book calls. And we were able to do $104,000 in revenue in 42 days with no paid ads, no challenge, no summit, no anything. And very simply, it was just inviting people, like taking a peek at their profile, making sure that it's like a good candidate, inviting them to join our movement based on some good copywriting, and then getting them into our Facebook group and using the messaging system that FlowChat facilitates in order to book all the calls that we needed. And so we ended up booking, I don't know, Chris and I said, look, we're only going to take 12 calls each a week. And so after the first week, we had our calendars booked out for like almost 2 months. And so then we just continued to put calls on the calendar and then take those calls and close deals for ourselves. And in the process, we were actually teaching the system that we were selling. So it worked out really well. Yeah.
That is absolutely incredible. I think I've gotten obsessed just a little bit with my FlowChat software. Don't do what I did. Don't run. I have the done for you version where your team does a great job. I also on LinkedIn overlapped and was running 2 campaigns on top of yours, which got LinkedIn to yell at me and say, we're going to shut you down. Your unusual activity on your account. So don't do that. Follow the best practices. Thankfully, I've had no issues with the Facebook funnel because I'm the only one running it as opposed to running it on top of you guys. I think it is like you can import, like, for example, I imported about 400 people from a Facebook group that had my target market in them. I'm using—
How long did it take? How long did it take to bring the 400 into a pipeline? Just share that.
I don't know, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That by itself would be worth it. We are connecting with them. I have built an overachieving, overlong nurture sequence to get them to build a relationship and get on my calendar. So I can absolutely speak to the fact that your software does what it says it can do. What you mentioned buying 15 other programs that couldn't do what you wanted. What are some of the most common misconceptions when it comes to filling your sales pipeline without, because this is all direct messages and connections, it's not paid ads. So what are the biggest misconceptions you hear about doing, cold outreach organically?
Yeah, so there's quite a few of them, and a great question that you ask here. So like, I just want to kind of back up for a second. When you said you built an overly long sequence, if we look at statistics online specifically, because I think that's where everybody plays here, 60% of engagement in the DMs comes at your 4th touch point. So if you're not getting engagement, think about putting 4 touch points into your process. If you only have 1 or 2, maybe you want to extend that. Secondly, 80% of sales deals are closed after the 13th touch point. Now, most people I speak with, and I've trained and helped thousands of people, they don't have all those 13 touch points. And so for you, I know you have more than 13 touch points, and that's why your system is going to always continue to run evergreen forever. The biggest misconceptions when people look at like a messaging system or doing outreach in the DMs is they, oh, it's a bot, or, oh, hey, I want to do it at scale where I can group mass message 10,000 people at the same time. Well, if you do that, how does that feel on the other end? It feels impersonal. It feels like it's slimy, right? It feels salesy. Like there's all those terms that kind of creep up into people's minds. And so when the concept of the misconception is like, hey, outreach is something that I don't want to have to do. I would rather get people to come my direction, right? Inbound traffic is kind of how we talk about that. So like, that's what makes it really, really easy to stand out in messages, because most people have that process or thought of mind, and then they go down the path of doing that just thing. They'll send a single message and it'll be this massive long book paragraph message of trying to sell, hey, here's my link, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff in the first message. And that never works, right? You don't like it. I don't like it. Like when people get it, they don't like it. So be real. The number one thing that works best in messaging, direct outreach specifically, start with a compliment. Look at their page, like be genuine and authentic about it. Hey, looks like you're kicking ass on social. Thanks for being you. I'll be back soon when I have something more thoughtful to say. That right there, that type of a message will boost your engagement tremendously. And it will also push you down the path of like and trust and know.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I am a product of the product for sure. What you have also, I think what's most impressive is you've used your product to scale your product. when you and I first started talking and I was like, what's your media buy? What's your ad budget every month? And I believe your answer was zero. And yet you built a multiple 7-figure company in a very short period of time. So talk a little bit about how you've used FlowChat to grow FlowChat.
Yeah, so it works. I mean, it's a system that works, right? If you work the system works. Like most things with the working system, like if you work it, it works. And so with ours, we started skinny, right? At the time, it was just me and Chris and Bruno, our CTO, and then we had one executive assistant. Her name is Hannah. And so Chris and I were taking the calls. Bruno was building the tech, and then Hannah was managing our calendars and doing some other things. And so when we first started, when we went from $0 to $100,000 in 40 days, we started seeing some cash flow come in, right? And then from there, we're like, okay, who and what are we going to do? We need to replace ourselves out of the system so that we can have a system that runs with a team. And so the first thing is let's build a sales team. And so we took one particular pipeline, is what we call a pipeline, is like managing all the messages through the system. And that was booking calls directly on Chris and my calendar with us doing the messaging outreach. So we put our sales team in place. And then what we did is we just transformed the one pipeline, same thing, Facebook, one pipeline to a call. We just took ourselves out of taking those calls and we transitioned it onto a team. And then once that started to work and we started seeing deals kind of roll through without us taking the sales calls, we're like, great, this is starting to work. Now let's look at replacing the people doing the actual messaging on our behalf. And so we went to low-cost labor across the pond and we found some people that were good, brought them in, taught them how to do kind of 1 or 2 stages in this process. And they learned that. And then all of a sudden now we had a team that was finding the right people, starting the conversations and managing them until they either fell off script where we'd have to jump in kind of like an appointment setter to like push it over the line, or it would go all the way through to a book call and then a deal rolled up. And one morning, we both woke up, Chris and I remember he gave me a call. He's like, oh my God, Sean, did you see what just happened? I was like, no. He's like, a deal was closed without us touching anything. That moment in our life was like a magic moment. We said, okay, well, now we have a system that's running. Let's replicate. So what we did is we added another profile. We built another pipeline. We ended up bringing more team and system. We started going across different platforms. And then here we are, just 2 years into it and we're doing pretty strong. We're running well.
That is fantastic. You've achieved so much success for your company and for the clients using your software. What is your biggest challenge now?
Again, scale, like mass scale is really what we're working on now, because I think we, over the past 6 months, what the company has done is really reformulated some of our done for you piece of our business, because we're struggling a little bit with that, but we've reformulated everything. We rebuilt all the infrastructure. And now what's happening is we have the foundation in order to pour because here's the way I say it. Speed of your business is dictated by the capacity of your systems. If your systems don't have enough wherewithal to manage a lot of influx, your business is going to break, right? Every business is broken. That's just the way it is. You always have, it's like, death by 1,000 paper cuts. But if you have the systems and the capacity in the systems to manage the volume, then it's just a matter of go fast. And so we had to, first of all, we built, here's our capacity. We filled that up. Okay, now we have to restructure the capacity and now we go fill it up. So we're in that next stage of, we have a bigger capacity now and we're ready to actually really step down and start scaling. And so we're doing a lot of really cool things. Not just clients have come from the system, but also really, really strong partnerships like yours. Or, we have other people that are ready to do, like a Rich Sheffrin as an example. He's the coach's coach. Everyone knows him. But so he saw our tech and he went through it and he's like, oh my God, everybody needs this. And we're like, yes, everybody does need this. And so at that stage, it's like, now we're starting to do joint ventures simply because we were using the system to connect with them in the first place. It's led to much more than just clients.
That is absolutely fantastic. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I really like to connect with people. I like to see people get results. I'm always about impact. You get past in the online game, as you get to a point where, first of all, it's money. You got to make money, pay the bills and do the thing. But once you get past that, what is the next thing that continues driving? Like, and I get up every day, Warren Buffett said you should tap dance to work. Well, how do you tap dance to work? Well, like if you get up and you love what you do every single day, I mean, there's parts of stuff that I just don't really like, but for 90-10 or maybe 80-20, I love everything in what we do. So it's like, I get up, I tap dance down to my computer, I get ready for our leadership meeting in the morning, and then I get to go work with our team. I manage the sales team and some of the marketing stuff, or actually all the marketing stuff we do. And so we're just building up our SEO. And so I don't know, I like doing everything. I'm super hyper passionate about it, and just making impact in other people's business is really, it's fulfilling for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable. Where can our folks go to learn more about you and, of course, about FlowChat?
Yeah, well, in the links below, there'll be a link where you can come and check out our Facebook group, or if you want to just if you're interested in learning a little bit more about FlowChat, there's another link here that will where you can actually book a call directly with our team to see if it's a fit for you, because it's not a fit for everybody. If you're not doing a DM outreach play, if that's something of interest to you, then let's book a call. So there'll be a book a call link there. You can also come join our Facebook group, and working on our book. Our book's going to be coming out here in a couple of months, which that'll be exciting too. So.
Awesome. We will have you back when the book is ready to come out. This has been Seth Green with Sean Malone from FlowChat. Sean, thanks so much for coming. We know your time's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, Seth, you as well, man. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And again, looking forward to continuing the relationship.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.